Hey, I'm down here in the pit working, and there's something that I wanted to talk about. And if you're familiar with this channel, that usually leads to a rant. This video is obviously about the gun show loophole. So, the age old argument is that there's a gun show loophole where people can buy firearms without doing a transfer. And I want to tell you why conservatives, or people who call themselves conservatives, shoot themselves in the foot with their response to this. Because their response, the typical response is, no, there is no gun show loophole. Federally licensed firearm dealers have to do a background check through the NICS system to sell a firearm just like they would in their shop. It's true, but it's a half-truth. They know it's a half-truth, and you are empowering the enemy by saying it. Here's the issue. You can talk about FFL dealers all day, but you also know that you can walk into a gun show and sell a gun to somebody. Great place to do it. In many gun shows, you can also set up a booth and sell guns as a private seller. Obviously, as a private seller, you don't have to do any background check or any bullcrap. So stop denying that that happens, because by denying that it happens, you, in an attempt to look like a law-abiding gun owner, are actually supporting gun control. Because by defending the gun show loophole with what an FFL has to do, you are inferring that what an FFL has to do with background checks is right. It is constitutional. It is not. There can be no regulation on firearms. There can be no control of the transfer of firearms. And by saying, oh, don't worry about private transfers at the gun show because FFLs still have to do a background check, then why would your enemy think, why would the person who wants gun control think that you wouldn't believe that people should have to do a background check as well? What you are doing is you're playing into their game. You are saying that you are okay with background checks and you are okay with infringements on your God-given right so long as it leaves you as a law-abiding gun owner. And what you are doing is stripping your own defense by making the exact same arguments and statements as your enemy. They just take it a little bit further. This is the difference between someone who supports legal gun ownership and supports the Second Amendment. You do not support the Second Amendment just because you support citizens' rights to own firearms legally through the government. That is the support of gun ownership. That is why every other country, even ones that are supposed to defend your right to self-defense and firearms ownership, now have none because of morons who have had the argument twisted through PSYOPs campaigns to their own detriment. They're too stupid to realize it. All arms laws are infringements. Arms does not just mean guns. It means any offensive or defensive tool. So, it includes everything else. And being that all arms laws are infringements, that includes background checks, registry, etc. So, while we have communist states like Washington cracking down on personal or individual sales, which, by the way, you are the one empowering that and allowing that, we're going to start seeing that come across the entire nation. And of course, the Second Amendment community who says that they support the Second Amendment are going to personally fuel this to happen because they're too stupid to think. So, the gun show loophole exists. The problem is that there is anybody at the gun show that has to do background checks because background checks are illegal as a requirement to purchase a firearm because the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are the law of the land, meaning that anything that goes against them is illegal, null, and void. So stop screwing with their argument and arguing within their constraints. Yeah, gun show loophole exists. But guess what? You have the right to buy or sell firearms to anybody. Period. If you don't support that, that's fine. Seriously. You don't have to support the Second Amendment. But don't say that you do. You can just say, screw the Second Amendment. I think that people have the privilege of owning firearms. Because if you believe that the government can make laws regarding firearms, you don't believe in rights. You believe that you are owned by your government and that you are a slave, and that's the way you think it should be. And if you want to be a slave, that's fine. You can choose to be a slave, but don't sit here and act like you're a patriot, and don't allow yourself to be twisted into thinking that you care about your liberty. I'd die before I give up my freedoms. Shackle me up. Stupid. Absolutely stupid. So, there you go. Biden's talking about cracking down on the gun show loophole. He's not talking about gun shows. Nobody cares about gun shows. He's talking about your right to sell or give firearms as an individual, and by supporting background checks, you are supporting him. Good job.